This is Larry the Barber Man. Today I'm at Salon International 2017 with none other than Jody Taylor, session stylist. Most of the magazines that you have seen in the newsagents would have probably had Jody's work inside or actually on the front cover. Today I'm here to do an interview to find out Jody's story. So Jody, thank you for having me. I know you're very busy, you've only got 15 minutes, you have to dash back to Babyless. So as I introduced you as a session stylist, tell me the day in the life of a session stylist as Jody Taylor.
Well, Larry, my day really consists of me, working on a location or in a studio somewhere in London or outside of London or in the UK, sometimes abroad. So every day can be a different day for me, So it'll be anywhere. I normally get into the shoot for about 8 or 9 o'clock, making sure that I've got my full kit with me. When I'm my full kit, it's not just a pair of clippers, it's like I've got thousands of products I need to take. I've got 2 big suitcases full of like tongs and straighteners and all types of accessories. So I'm lugging them around London or in Ubers, getting to a location. And then really I'm being asked to create hair that I don't know that I'm going to be doing until I get there. So if it's for a brand, it's kind of to coincide with what the brand is. If it's for a magazine, then they're trying to create like a certain type of character that they're trying to represent for the particular shoot. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing until I turn up on the day and I'm briefed by either the brand or the magazine, and then they take me through a mood board and explain to me their ideas. So I need to make sure I've got everything possibly available to me for me to be able to create whatever look it is they want me to create.
So it's fair to say that these magazines hire you on your basis to act very, very quickly, literally look at the collection, look at the board, look at the brief and come up with the haircut to match that in a hurry.
Exactly that, yeah. So, yeah, you need to work quickly, and what I've also kind of come to realise that you need to have thick skin as well, because it's not like if I do something and it's not liked, I need to accept that and not like kind of cry about it or think I'm not capable of doing my own job. I need to just, come up with another idea straight away, try something else, and not really get kind of caught up on the fact that they didn't like my first idea. So it's constantly, trying to please clients really. Like my clients now are not people that are just in my chair having haircuts. They're like magazines and brands. So I need to kind of be on my toes and be ready for anything that they kind of give to me.
And can you kind of explain, because it's not just what you want, you've actually got to appease the stylist, you've got to appease the makeup artist, you've got to appease the photographer. Talk us through kind of the people that are involved in the team, because maybe a lot of the barbers may not know the number of people that are involved in one shoot for one cover.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes production can be massive, so you're always going to have a photographer. They might have like, 1 to 5, 6 assistants. You obviously have the stylist, their assistants, then you have the people doing the production, so there could be numerous amounts of people there. You might have someone from the brand, they've employed everyone, then you've got the stylist, the photographer, there's so many people there. And it can be quite intimidating as well, because especially like you bring a model onto set and they're like, oh, the hair doesn't look good, go and change it. So you're like, all right, and then sometimes I just want it changed on set, so I need to have like everything with me just to be able to do something. So it is a lot of pressure, but it's a lot of fun as well, and it's very rewarding. It is really, really a rewarding job, but it's not just about me cutting hair now. It's about being creative and how we can create looks by styling hair and how you can kind of manipulate hair really into doing what you want it to do and looking how you want it to look.
Okay. Before we go into a little bit deeper into that, can you just tell me some of the shows and some of the magazines that you've been on the front cover of and some of the TV shows that you've worked with, just to kind of paint a picture of?
So, I've done maybe 3 or 4 GQ covers now, which for me was my complete and utter dream. I've been in quite a few different Vogue magazines around the world. New York Times magazine was another one that was amazing for me to do. I've not worked on films, but I've worked with actors that are in the films when they're doing premieres and stuff, so it's really nice to kind of meet them. I worked with Jack O'Connell quite a few times. He's a really amazing guy and he's such a successful young actor, so I'm lucky in that sense, yeah.
You say it's so cool and composed, Jody. Like it's
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start talking about now your hairstyles and what you was talking about, manipulation. What is it what is it? Obviously they're hiring you for something. Tell me what it is they're hiring you for specifically when it comes to hair.
When it comes to hair?
Yeah. Well, you were just talking about the manipulation and so forth.
Yeah, I suppose it's, you know, people hire you based on your portfolio of work. So if I've not met someone and they've got like 10 of different versions of me to choose from, and they don't know any of us, then they're just looking purely visually at your work and the variety of what you do. They're obviously looking, they have an idea in mind what they want. So they're looking, oh, this guy's really good at doing like 50s hair, this guy's really good at doing mod hair, or he's good, you know, he's good at this kind of thing, his haircuts are good, he doesn't really cut hair. So they're looking at your work. So my portfolio has to be really varied, you know, but obviously it's got to be tasteful as well. There's a lot of stuff I don't do that I don't even put in there because I don't like it. I don't think it really shows me and my work in the way I want to be kind of perceived, I suppose. So, yeah, that's... I don't really know otherwise why they'd book me. Banter.
And what would you say, just very quickly, what would you say your style is now? What do you love doing right now in 2017, October?
That's a good question, you know. I suppose there's a lot of rawness to what I do now. It's really kind of anti-perfect hair. You know, everyone does perfect hair, everyone does perfect hair amazingly. So my thing is, make it not perfect, but make it look good at the same time. And that's cool. So really anti-hairdressing, anti-barbering really, which sounds pathetic and stupid if you're trying to create something. But you have to learn. To learn, you have to make things perfect. But now my thing is kind of the opposite of that. But if I'm in a shop and I'm cutting hair, then I'm doing perfect. I'm trying to make perfect. If I'm on a job, then I'm, you know, trying to do the opposite in a way.
Okay. And one other thing that people actually hire you for is your visionary ability. You can kind of know where fashion's going to be in a year and a half and so forth. Tell me where you kind of get these vision, or how you approach this when you want to kind of predict what's ahead of time. Because these magazine covers are kind of shot way ahead, and when they actually hit the shelves, this is current.
Yeah.
So you are kind of, in some respects, manipulating fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of what a lot of other people do. Like, there's a lot of really amazing session hairdressers out there, and obviously with fashion shows, they tend to work a year in advance. So what is done in a show in January will be in the shops the following January, etc. So you're kind of looking at that, and you're looking at just sometimes it's just a natural progression. If something's been cool for a long time, chances are the opposite's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So it's all, and things go back and forth as well. And I'm always looking at clothes. I really like to kind of, I always kind of look and see what like the youth of today are doing as well, because that's a massive inspiration as me, because hopefully they're sort of sticking their middle fingers up at what's happened before them, and they want to do things that haven't been done before. So that's exciting, you know, because what we don't want to do is just continually have the same thing for too long, you know, and trends come and trends go, and it's great that we have them, but once everyone's doing it, then it becomes really boring. So I'm looking at everything. I'm always studying, like to try and get ideas and stuff. And it could be films, it could be music, it could be other cultures and stuff, looking back to the past.
So that really does help working in high fashion, in the respect that you're working 1 year in advance. So when you're talking to the average person and you're telling them your vision, you've had a little bit of help from your team that are briefing you a year in advance.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, I suppose I'm in a good place, but even before I had the opportunities to do these, when I was just working full-time in a salon, or when I was educating full-time, it was something that I was always excited about and always interested about, because it's not trying to do things first, it's just trying to do something different than you've already been done. And I think that's the great thing with barbering and hairdressing, is that you'll never be as good as you want to be. You know, I don't know anyone that knows everything, and I don't know anyone, well, some people might think they know everything, but it's really sad because we can always get better. You know, I look at there's some like 16, 17-year-old kids cutting hair now, and I wish I could cut hair like them. You know, I really wish I could, and I can't now, and I'm like old. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, we've all got things that we're good at, you know, but we can always get better in certain areas.
Okay, that's fair assumption. Okay, and just in closing up, because I know you need to dart off to get back onto the BARBER stand, as I understand that you want to start doing education again, what niche are you going to bring to the educational arena?
I think with you know, I do want to get back into educating, and I think I just really want to share the experience that I'm having now, and maybe I feel confident enough now with what I'm doing to actually share it with people. And I think there's, you know, there's been a really nice interlink of barbering and hairdressing in the past sort of 3-4 years, and you know, and I think the people now, people used to be very close-minded about one or the other, you know, and now the barbers want to know how to hairdress, the hairdressers want to know how to barber, and if you're good at both of them, you know, and if you know how to create looks as well, then I think that's great. So I think with me, for what I do, I've got things that I can share that not necessarily people know or have the opportunity to. So I think I've got stuff to bring to the table in that sense, as opposed to me trying to teach a barber how to barber when they do it, you know, 15 hours a day, every day, and I don't. So that wouldn't really like make sense. Whereas now I think I've got stuff I can share that would be useful for everyone in hair.
Yeah, I mean, you could help them with the photography stuff, because what you see in three-dimensional on the actual model's head and what you actually see in the camera are two totally different things. And I think a lot of your work revolves around understanding, taking the three-dimensional to the two-dimensional that goes on to film or, in fact, to make a still.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that could work, you know. I think, yeah, it's one of the things I've had to get used to, is like looking at hair, understanding if it's going to be shot inside, outside, what sort of lighting is going to do, what product's going to reflect well on the hair, you know, not just using one product, not doing this, not doing that. There's so many little aspects when you're doing an actual shoot or a show or something that you need to take into consideration, as opposed to, I'm just going to do a perfect hair, put loads of pomade on it or matte paste, and that's going to be done with. You know, there's a lot of other things that you can think about that will really enhance the kind of total image that you're going for.
Okay, and just very last question. I forgot to introduce the fact that you was actually Breast Hairdresser of the Year. Tell me a little bit. Tell me about the year that you actually won that title and how you actually approached that and how you ultimately won it. That's the last question.
Yeah, so I mean, it was 2010-11 that I won Men's Hairdresser of the Year. You know, it was the biggest achievement of my career, and it's something that I had aspired to do. You know, there was people that had done it before me in my company, and people that from other companies that had done it, and it was probably the third time I entered that I won. I'd got into the final the year before, and at that time, that was the one shoot I'd done a year. It was that. So I put everything into it, like, and it wasn't, you know, it was just so much work went into it of, you know, understanding what sort of lighting I wanted, what the mood was, what the haircuts were that I wanted to do. Yeah, that was everything for me back then, you know, everything. So, you know, I encourage anyone that's doing it to do that, because that changed my life completely. I don't enter it anymore because I'm fortunate enough that I shoot all the time, and maybe my taste has changed slightly from that's really about technique. I never say never. I probably will in the future, but you know, it's a really, really good thing to do, because it really makes you focus. It's a really good focus, and it's a really good way to kind of show your creativity. But I say anyone to do it, do what you think is right, and don't try and do what you think the judges would do. Do what you think is your style, and then if people like it, they do. If they don't, so be it. But don't try and conform to what you see other people are doing.
Okay, and in 30 seconds, tell me if someone wanted to become a session stylist, they're a really talented barber or a talented hairdresser, and they wanted to become a session stylist, be on front cover magazines, what would they do? What would they need to do?
I think if you want to be a session hairdresser, then I would encourage you to contact lots of different hair agencies. You can't just go and start doing it because, you know, you've been barbering or hairdressing 10 years. You have to create your own portfolio of work. I contacted so many agencies and didn't even get emails back before I signed to my agency. I was shooting for free. I was shooting with friends. I was contacting photographies like colleges to get to work with photographers. it wasn't, I didn't just land in this position. I got here because I really wanted to.
You knocked on plenty of doors and
yeah,
plenty of no's.
Yeah, and I've done loads of shoots where I hated them and the pictures are terrible, but it was a learning process. It's like doing your first few haircuts, they're awful. But what you take from it is experience. It's not like you fail, you just take experience and you do the next one and you understand how you're going to improve it, and that's the way. It's not, you're not just going to, my success in hairdressing is not translated into what I do now. I've had to rebuild and start again, which has been hard, but now I've kind of started to fall on my feet a little bit with it.
And hence you want to teach. Jody, Taylor, thank you ever so much for giving me your time, but there was a lot of rich content that people can take away and use to their advantage and progress in their career if they want to move to two-dimensional work. So thank you very much, and let's rush back to Salon International 2017. Thank you.
Cheers.